Hello.
Mute. Okay, I'm here.
Good to see you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you
Oh,
hear me?
that's good. Yes, I can. Yes, that's lovely.
Okay.
I don't really know how many we're going to have, but about 30, I think, which
Okay.
will be good. Will be good. And we've got plenty of time really before we start. I couldn't work out how to start at quarter to the hour. They only gave me the options.
I know.
You know, so.
I know. I've had that too. I think we're all. There may be a trick to Zoom, but my friends who helped me, they didn't know how to do it either. So I set meetings up on the half hour.
Yeah. And I thought, well, if I leave it till 3 o'clock and it's a 3 o'clock start, that's too late, really. People want to, settle down. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It is a lovely thing, really, that our American members or Japanese members or from anywhere in the world can join in, and that's marvelous.
Yes.
It's been so much the case that they've tended to be local members, or some from the UK, some come up from London occasionally, but this really does open it out to the world, doesn't it? It's great. Yeah.
Well, it's one of the things we've learned the way we live now is that
it is, isn't it?
There are some gains, and in my university we have creative writers, visiting creative writers who read their poetry at night and so on. And I've hardly ever gone to these because when it's nighttime, I want to be home. I don't want to be out driving in the rain or the snow. Well, we haven't had snow yet, but I haven't been to any in the past year or so, and I've been to every single one this year because this is all I have to do.
Yeah, it makes it very easy, doesn't it? That's really good. Yeah, but it was really your comments about Kennedy's death on Georgette's birthday. That was really interesting. Yeah.
Well, when he died, I didn't know about George Eliot yet. I didn't discover
I
her.
Didn't much, although I think I'd read The Mill on the Floss at that point. But I mean, she wasn't featuring heavily in my life in the way that she does now. Yeah. Goodness, it's a long time ago, isn't it?
Yes. But interestingly, I know a few people. Sometimes people reconnect, and I guess it was a few months ago. I heard from someone else who was in that class, and whom I haven't been in touch with for many years. And we started remembering things.
Yes.
And I remembered his mother, and I remembered his brother, and and this friend of mine from that time. So sometimes there are memories in there that you don't know are in there until you put yourself in the room. And I'm sure that George Eliot could do that. She could in her mind put herself in a house or in a room and with people and describe how those things were.
I'm sure. Yeah. She had such a phenomenal memory too, didn't she? I was reading the other day how much she not only learned but remembered what she'd learned.
Yes.
It's too easy to remember it and then forget it, isn't it? But she seemed to. An amazing woman, really. Yeah. Oh well. So this morning I've been down to I went with my wife into Nuneaton, and we put some flowers by the statue. There's the main statue in the centre of Nuneaton, which is the original one that John Letts made. And then there's a sort of resin copy of it, which they've got outside the George Eliot Hospital, which is in the town. So we went there first and put some flowers there. And then we went to the obelisk in the George Eliot Memorial Gardens and temporarily placed the chaplet there and photographed it, but then took the chaplet away and put it on the actual statue in Newdigate Square in Nuneaton. So we've got pictures of that, and they're already on Facebook, and I'll send them out to members as well. So that's lovely. Right, we've got Leslie Smith is joining us.
And Gareth Williams, I see.
Well, that's Leslie.
Oh, that is, okay.
Because Leslie is using her husband's computer, so it comes through as Gareth Williams. Are you there, Leslie?
Hello, John.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm very sorry I missed you. I was wrestling with lunch. Very glad to see you. Can you see me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And the other person I've been talking to, you can probably see her, is Shoshana, and she's from United States of America, this is why this is so marvelous, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. How lovely.
Terrific.
Very nice. I can't see her, but I'm very, very pleased to have her along. Oh, I can. I've got you. Hello, darling.
Yes.
Hello, darling.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. So I was just telling Shoshana, I've been this morning, or Linda and I have been this morning, and we've put some flowers alongside the there's a second version of the George Eliot statue and a sort of an acrylic or plastic or something copy, outside the George Eliot Hospital. So we've put.
I'm so glad.
We put flowers there, and then we took the chaplet that we'd had done, and we put it on the obelisk in the George Eliot Memorial Gardens, where we photographed it, but then took it away and put it actually on the statue itself.
Good.
In the centre of Nuneaton. So that's really nice.
And very moving, Yes. Very moving, very appropriate. I'm delighted. Yeah.
Yes,
delighted.
It is. And I think we need to make it more of a tradition, actually. We always have the birthday lunch. And in the old days, in the 1930s, they used to meet at Griff House in November for the wreath laying. I mean, we have one in June as well now in Nuneaton. But they used to just have this, and they used to walk. They had to tramp across the fields from Griff House to South Farm, because the obelisk was at South Farm. And it was there until the 1950s. And then after the war, when the bit where it is now was all bombed, the local authority decided to do something to honour George Eliot. So they created the George Eliot Memorial Gardens. And the Newdigate family agreed to move the obelisk from near South Farm, where nobody ever saw it really, and put it in the centre of Nuneaton.
Much better. Let's do that every year. If we can get the lockdown, folks, to give us new things to do that are even better as a result of it, that's got to be very positive, hasn't it?
Absolutely has. And we were just saying really how Zoom has really, as a consequence of lockdown and the coronavirus, it's opened up so much for us that we can have people, this afternoon who wouldn't be able to come to the meal if it was at Western Hall Hotel, but can take part in this, just chatting and being enthusiastic about George Eliot, and they can be anywhere in the world.
I mean, and that's what's so breathtakingly good. We're all learning to develop. Those of us who are not good at technology are certainly doing that. I have a team of staff at the castle who help me, but I'm with my husband, he's an academic. He sort of puffs at me and gets on with it. So I'm so delighted, and I think this afternoon's going to be really interesting. How many people are signing in? Do you know?
I think it'll be about 30.
Oh, marvellous.
Which is lovely. And we've got 2 more now sort of knocking on the door. Oh, William Adams. Now, William Adams is Kathleen and Bill's son. Kathleen and Bill,
yes.
For 40 years. So let's admit him. And also Pam Waite. And it was Pam, actually, Leslie, who came up with the title of Meet the Woman.
Oh, was it?
Which
has worked so well.
Oh, it was marvellous. Yes, so I'll admit her.
There we are. Someone else.
Yes.
And Shoshana over in America. How marvellous.
Yes.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
What part are you, Shoshana, please?
I'm in Blacksburg, Virginia. It's the southwest part of the state.
And is that Western Virginia, West Virginia, or East?
No, it's part of Virginia proper, but it's the western part of the state.
I know. How marvelous. And you're great fan, of course, of George, I'm sure. George
Eliot. Yes.
You have great taste.
Hello, Pam.
Hi, John.
Hello, good to have you. Hello, Will. You need to connect with us. Well, you don't have to. Is that better?
Is that
Yes,
better?
I can hear you. I
Good
can hear you.
William.
Right, good afternoon.
That's lovely. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Will, it's great that you're here. I'm very impressed by all those bookshelves behind you.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, I rent them in by the yard, you know.
Brilliant.
It's one of the things we've all started doing, isn't it? Where on the television, they're all sort of coming in from their various homes, and we all take critical interest in where they choose to sit.
Yeah, none of that is literature, by the way. That's
right.
That's nearly all railways.
Oh right. Oh,
railways.
Wow. Now Michael Harris is waiting to come in. Michael is, well, Will and Pam know him. Ruth Harris, his wife, was a vice president and was lovely. She died earlier this year. But let's let Michael in. Hello, Michael.
There you are.
Hello, Michael. You'll need to unmute. And then Juliet, we'll let her in as well.
Am I audible
You
now?
are. You're
Thank
with us.
you.
You're with us, Michael. That's brilliant.
Lovely. Great to join you.
Welcome. Welcome. Are you with us, Juliet?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, there you are.
Hello.
Brilliant.
Oh,
Hi,
that's
Leslie.
Hello.
Is it what's that you've got behind you, Juliet?
It's the books. It's all the novels in order.
Oh, well done. You see, here's a woman who thinks ahead. Behind me is my untidy, very untidy study. Don't look. But I was just saying, Juliet, we've already laid a chaplet at the statue.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
Yeah, and also some flowers at the hospital.
Yeah, they look nice. They did.
They do. Yeah, they look really good, don't they?
Yeah.
That's excellent. So it's really good. It's nice to have a slightly less formal one, wasn't it? I mean, the annual lecture was brilliant, and I thought it worked really well.
Yeah.
With Gail. But it's just as nice to do an informal chat amongst ourselves, really, and then just a little bit more formality for the toasts.
Yeah.
It's a great way of
Is Viv joining us today, John?
I'm hoping so, Michael. Yes, I'm expecting her to.
I introduced her to the joys of the Coventry Memorial Park this week.
She told me that she'd been for a walk around the memorial.
We had a very nice long walk and long chat. And it was good.
That's wonderful. And it's a spacious enough park to be able to have a long walk in, isn't it?
Yeah, provided people do as they're told, they're all right.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
Applies to all of us.
Yes, indeed. Yes. But you're keeping well, Michael?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. Yes,
good.
Yes. I had my son came up. We're in a bubble. It's a 60-mile long bubble, but he came up yesterday.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
John?
Yeah?
I forgot my toast. I'm just going to get a glass of wine.
Good idea. Hooray.
All right.
Good.
And you're there, though, John, again.
Yes. Yeah.
Just to say, for those watching, I'm not Gareth Williams. That's my husband's computer. He's not taken to wearing dresses. He's actually a Viking expert from the British Museum. So this is all very funny. But I've been approached by De Montfort University, who are looking to make a Middlemarch documentary about the making of the TV programme. Are you aware of this?
No.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I am, because you told me, but it's...
Oh, I did tell you. Yes. Sorry, other viewers. And so they've approached me to see if I'll do the voiceover. And the conversation is, yes, it's going to happen, assuming that the grant's in place, and I think they feel pretty confident. But anything to spread the word, you know, about our work and to get people engaged with it. And so I'll be very pleased to do that. But that's about 14 months' time.
I'll put something on the website. Sorry about that. Better see who this. Hello. Yeah. Hello. Oh. Oh. Now I wonder why that is.
Oh yes, they're all
coming now.
They're all coming, yeah.
Yeah, people are getting through. They have, yes, they have.
Hello, Mrs. Burton.
Hello.
Lovely to see you.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
And you too, I hope.
Oh yes,
Right.
yes, indeed. I'm just checking that John's got all the things.
Well, someone's struggling.
Right, but you are registered
Jonathan.
with.
Oh, it's Jonathan, is it?
Yeah, yeah. I should go downstairs and do it from downstairs in a minute.
You're registered as a Zoom user. There isn't some. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh.
Hi, Joe.
Well, that's
Juliet.
extraordinary. I
Michael.
don't know what could have
Hi
happened.
there, Linda.
No.
Shoshona, what time is it there in America?
9:49 a.m.
Oh, quite civilized then.
Yes, yes.
I'm glad you hadn't had to leave your bed in the middle of the night for this.
No.
I've worked in both Western State Virginia Penitentiary and Eastern State, making documentaries about the penal system under Charles Dickens' visit there. So I went to Pennsylvania and talked about social reformers, you know. So let's see how we're doing now. Let's see how we're doing getting through.
Right. I saw a play about Dickens's visit to Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes,
in the
I've
cave.
been there too.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm just reading Martin Chuzzlewit again.
Oh, are you? Are you?
Yeah, and it's very interesting when you get to the American chapters. With all immense respect to America, it doesn't seem to have changed in some respects from 1840s to now.
Right.
There's plenty of places in England like that too.
Yeah. He gives a wonderful description that he arrives just after an election, strangely enough.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah.
But did the president accept it?
No, the two parties were fighting in the streets.
Oh, right. That's all right. Then I'm glad things are fine. Well, there's a bit of passion anyway, if nothing else about their beliefs.
Yeah, that's right.
But Dickens certainly had dinner with George Eliot. I found that.
Oh, well, my wife and I did a dialogue at the at this equivalent function in 2016.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah. It was the Dickens George Eliot correspondence, which went on for years.
I know they were very. I mean, and I know that her publisher said, "Look, even Dickens doesn't get the amount of correspondence you get, or indeed Hazlitt before." Yeah.
And he was the first one to say the writer of this. It was the Scenes of Clerical Life. This writer is a woman. Dickens.
Oh, he clicked.
Yes, I can
he
remember
got
that.
it. Yeah, yeah.
He clicked. Yeah, yeah. Well, he was a bit bright, you know. He was a bit on the bright side, but not quite George's standard.
Well, I've got all his first editions except one, which I can't afford.
That's what do you know? That's what I call passion. We all need a bit of passion. And George Eliot had plenty of it, didn't she?
Yes,
about her writing, about her men, her political beliefs, religious beliefs. She was an incredible woman.
Any advice?
Oh, and Linda's joined us as well. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
John, can anyone hear me?
Can you hear Linda? Oh, hello. Back with the drink.
No.
My own Zoom my camera isn't working in my computer, so I'm using my husband's.
That's quite all right.
Me too.
I just want to let you know, John, that I'm here.
Yes, that's lovely.
William Fitzgerald, but
Yes, that's lovely. So I'm
Well,
talking to
George Eliot used a man's name too, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes, there are
Yeah,
several of us here this afternoon who appear to be coming under different names, but George Eliot did it all the time, didn't she? So really, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
The person appearing as William Fitzgerald at the top of your bar is actually Cathy O'Shaughnessy, whose wonderful novel on George Eliot came out last year. So welcome, Cathy. It's lovely to have you with us. The reason I was on the phone is that Jonathan Overy, who's our president, can't get through. He's got the same code and passcode and so on you all have, but it's not giving him access. And
does he have the latest version of Zoom?
I think so, because he said his wife has been using it all weekend. She uses it a lot.
Someone else?
That's it. Yes, that's Elaine who's just joined us. Are you there, Elaine?
This is very exciting.
And Rosemary Donaldson also. I can't see. Oh, perhaps. And Karen Parker. Let's admit her.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Karen and Rosemary, you'll need to unmute yourselves so that you can speak to us or we can hear you.
Hello, nice to see everybody.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Hello there, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
There should be quite a few more coming, but sometimes people leave it right till the last minute, unless they're having difficulties like Jonathan. But
I've skipped out a couple of times. It's chucked me out a few times.
I had to sign in with my proper password. I had to go and look for it.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I had to sign in. I had to. In the end, it was quicker just to create a new account because of my email addresses.
But you're here.
Well, yeah, Jonathan was saying, or no, I think it was Leslie suggesting that Jonathan maybe had a different email address. He has changed his email address. But anyway, with Linda, who is used to using Zoom but on the phone, is trying to sort out with him whether it's possible for him to come on the phone.
Oh, great, it's John.
Hello.
Hi, John.
How are you, Edward?
Greetings.
Hi.
It's good that you could join us. And some of you will know Edward Pogmore used to be the chaplain at the George Eliot Hospital and is a great friend of the fellowship, and did wonderfully surreptitious things like having George Eliot quotations going out on emails to all the people in the George Eliot Hospital.
Brilliant.
On a daily basis.
Which was a wonderful thing to do. But you're enjoying retirement now, Edward.
Yeah, in its lockdown version at the moment.
Yes, yeah.
But we find ways, don't we?
We do. Yes, we do.
Who's in the bottom square? The mysterious. I can see a ceiling and a wall, but.
Where's that?
Got that one.
Oh, Karen Parker. All right.
Oh, Karen. Yeah.
Perhaps gone to get a toast.
Yeah, it could be, yes. Yes.
I don't know if everybody appears at the same time. I think it comes in and out a bit. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I've
only got 9 pictures on my screen.
Oh, I've only got 4 at the top.
I've got 13.
I've got 13.
That's just greedy.
That's just not fair.
You may have a bigger screen. I've only got an iPad, so I've got 10.
Oh, you've done well.
Yes, I'm using an iPad. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I've got everybody now.
Go.
Yes.
How have you done that?
On view rather than speaker view, it says gallery view.
Yes.
And I've got everybody. Yeah, I've got everybody up there now.
Oh, I've got gallery view. Maybe if I.
Where's gallery view?
Mine is top right hand corner.
Oh. View. Oh.
Speak of you, gallery.
Gallery, yeah. Oh, oh yes. Right.
Well done.
Yeah.
It's too much excitement, John.
I know.
Way too much.
Excuse me, it's not your meeting, it's mine.
Right. And that's Marie Ewood has just arrived. Yes. Hello, Marie. Marie, you'll need to unmute yourself so that we can hear you, and Karen.
What his suggestion is, I still can't hear.
Well, I'll show you my lovely view, shall I, over Bosworth Battlefield.
Wow, that's some view.
Read out what he was going to say. Relay it.
Okay.
That was first on there.
Very historic part of England, Leicestershire.
Is it the revised site or the one they used to think was the site?
That it's the heritage site. But the Ashby Canal's real.
I've walked them both. Yes, we've walked them both. We fought both battles.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
But to be honest, the battle raged quite expansively.
Yeah.
Not for long.
But only for a few minutes.
Yeah, it was only for a few minutes.
But we are having a heritage trail installed, an artwork trail. When that will now come to fruition because of COVID and Arts Council grants, we don't know, but it should be quite nice when we've got it. We're having a nice little memorial in our churchyard.
Hello, Viv.
In Dadlington.
Hi, Viv.
Hi there, Julia.
Gina, you need to unmute yourself.
Who's that?
Gina Harris.
Gina. Okay. Hey, Juliet.
You're right.
Yeah, look at you with the books behind you.
Hello, Vivian.
Great. Great backing. Who's saying hello to me? Oh, it's good to see everyone. Hello,
Hi, Viv.
Leslie.
Hello. Lovely to see you.
Hello.
What fun.
Edward. Oh, wow.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Edward. Michael.
Hi, Viv.
Hello.
Covered.
Trying to see who else I know.
Hello,
oh,
Bev.
Pam, I can see Pam. Did you get back in touch with Beverly, John?
Sorry,
I'm
Bev.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, Bev. Oh, Dan. Oh, Rose. Hello. Good to see you all. Oh,
hello.
Yay. That Richard Grant there.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, there. Hello, Richard.
Hello. I'm logged in via my desktop, which hasn't got a camera, so you've got a picture of us in the Antarctic last year.
Oh, yes.
But I can hear you all and see you all.
Brilliant.
Right.
Hello, Richard.
Hello.
Hey, Richard.
Hi.
Rosemary.
We're still having problems making contact with Jonathan. I've got him on the phone at the moment, but he's had all the same information as you, but it's not allowing him to access, which is
frustrating.
It's very frustrating. Yes. Yeah.
Nice mug, Beverly.
Thanks. Oh, that's our Juliet. She's got all
I'm Karen.
John, I've just put the Zoom link in the chat. Maybe that'll be easier for Jonathan to try.
Good thinking.
Right. Now, where will I find that? Oh, in the chat, yes.
In the chat.
If it doesn't work, because I've often had that problem, he could always, if he's going to speak, he could always speak on speaker on your phone to all of us.
Yes, that's right. Speaker button.
Yeah, because I
access
recently with my son when
Jonathan, at the bottom of the page that I sent you, there's a link there. That have you pressed on that? And did that open up anything? It ends with UT09. Wow, that's extraordinary. It is, isn't it?
Had I been prepared, I could have given you a treasurer's report while we sat here. Fortunately, I'm not prepared.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. I'm just seeing if we've got any more guests waiting to be entered, but I don't think we have at the moment. Oh, I am sorry, Jonathan. That's so annoying, isn't it? Yes, exactly. Yes. Oh, right. Okay, just in case. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And she's got that code as well on the that she can just link, press on. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Right. Right. Well, we're waiting now. Jonathan's wife is going to her laptop upstairs to see if she can make it work on that computer rather than the one that Jonathan is using. But if all else fails, Jonathan has what he was going to say, and he's going to speak it to me on the phone, and I will then repeat it to you. The wonders of modern technology. Richard Grant. Yeah.
No, it's a celebration.
Hey, there you go, Richard. I can see you now.
Hello, Richard.
Hello. I'm probably echoey at the moment because I'm logged in, doubly logged in. So I'll get rid of one.
John, if Jonathan can come through to you, then on your speakerphone, would he be able to get through to everybody through your phone?
Through the loudspeaker, yeah.
Through the loudspeaker.
If you press the speaker on your mobile phone, as we suggested earlier, you'll find that should blast out, get it up nice and loud.
Right.
And if Jonathan says hello in a moment, we can all hear if it's working. Yes? Progress.
I can hear that.
We're just waiting to be let in now.
Oh, right. Oh, yes, indeed. Right.
Big cheer when he arrives.
Yes, I was just going to say.
Oh, there's Marjorie.
There's bits of
Hooray!
Hey!
We've had a journey. We've had to go all the way upstairs. Another
Lovely
computer.
to see you, Marjorie.
Here we are. Here's the.
Oh, good. Well done. So we're underway.
Right. Hello. Oh, nice.
Wow.
Everyone.
Jonathan.
Who are you on the phone to now, John?
Well, I'm on the.
Good point.
I'm still on the phone to Jonathan, but I'll close this phone call now, Jonathan, since you've joined us, if that's all right. Okay.
See everybody, or do you want to just see John?
Oh, everybody.
Okay. Well, you do that little gallery view.
Right, this is too much.
Too much, okay.
That's wonderful. I've just had a message from Mary Somerville, who also can't get through.
Dear Mary.
And yet, Mary, you know, we all have the same information. That's the worrying thing about it, isn't it? Goodness.
Let's make them start, shall we?
Right. I don't think there's anybody else waiting to join us at the moment. But we have got, oh, there's John. Yes, there's Jonathan.
Has Richard disappeared?
No,
Richard's gone, it says.
Richard's left.
Right. Really? Oh, Linda says she can't get on either. So that's, that's very strange. David Patterson is just coming in. We'll give you a little while to compose yourself, Jonathan. I'm sorry about this.
It's not as if everybody's going out anywhere. We're all in lockdown.
Well, that's right, we are. Yes, yeah. No better offers.
Maybe you've got your settings to tighter control on the settings, John, because I know when I joined the parish council meeting the other day, I literally just clicked on the link and waited to be let in. I didn't have to wait for ID or anything to do that. So maybe, you know, next time loosen the controls a little bit.
Well, I didn't have many actually. I deliberately didn't set up this secondary whatever they have. You can be in a waiting room and there's something else as well. Yeah. Let's just go straight to the waiting room. Beryl Gray. Hello, Beryl. Beryl's joining us, which is lovely. She was very worried. There we are. Hello, Beryl.
Hello.
Hello, Beryl. You'll need to unmute so that we can hear you.
Oh, muted again.
Host muted you.
There we go.
Did you mute me?
No.
Can you hear me? Oh, well, you're...
Okay, success.
Thank you.
You're there now. That's lovely.
I'm sorry I'm late, but that's I had an awful trouble. Had to get help getting connected.
Well, I know you're not alone, Beryl.
You're not alone.
Several people are having problems, including Linda, who uses hers quite often. And Jonathan also had problems as well. But I think we're sort of, hello, David and Marie.
Hello. Yeah, we've had to send each other a copy to get on. It wouldn't operate.
Really?
No.
Oh, good.
So we sent each other the email again in desperation, and it's now worked.
Well, we copied me. No, I had to get help as well.
Well, it didn't work on Word. I wonder whether it's because you sent it on Word.
Probably on Word.
Oh, it could be.
We've never had a problem before with other things, so.
No. Oh goodness. Well, let's see who else is waiting. Amanda.
Yes, but I can see us. Yes.
Did you? No, I didn't ask you.
I don't know, because I was just thinking the other day, our clerk sent it at the top of our agenda, which was a Word document, and it was literally just, we pressed the link and just had to wait to be let into the meeting, and we didn't have to sign in or anything.
Amanda, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you all. I'm afraid it's quite late over here. I'm in Taiwan actually, so I'm not turning on my video. I hope that's all right.
Of course.
It's good to see you. Actually, give me a second and I will turn it on so I can just say hi to you all. But please just go ahead and continue with your meeting. I'm just popping in to say hello.
Well, we haven't started yet, Amanda, because several people have been having difficulties getting through. So we've allowed a bit of time for that. But as Juliet says, none of us have got other things to do because we're all in lockdown.
I'm not.
How is it going? How is the lockdown going?
In 5 minutes. I'm meeting my friend for a walk. I haven't stayed in a single day since March the 17th or 18th.
Have you not? Well done. Got out and about a bit.
Well, when you're my age, you try to walk every day, believe me.
Right. Hello, Marjorie.
Hello. I'm just trying to teach Jonathan how to do speaker view and gallery view. He wants to see everybody.
Right.
Beryl, you slipped down a bit, love. That's better. You're a bit what now a few minutes ago.
Oh no.
That's it. Clear.
I've gone.
I can see your eyes.
I've disappeared.
Hi, Vivian.
Hello, Beryl. Hi.
But I can't see anybody. It's all gone.
We can see you though, Beryl.
Yeah, but I can't see anybody.
Yeah, frustrating.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
I'll try and get some help here. I don't know what has happened.
There should be a little box in the top right-hand corner, Beryl, that says view.
The little box in the top right-hand corner.
Yeah, that says view. And if you click on view.
No, I haven't got anything that says you or me. There's a little thing at the bottom, open support chat, but that's not right.
No, you want gallery view.
Shall I sign in again?
Yes.
I'll get someone who might help me. Hang on.
All right.
This is a bit of a learning curve for everybody though, isn't it?
Yes,
most of us haven't used them before, so.
And it might be because I lifted it to put a book underneath.
I will whisper this. I've got a Zoom wine appreciation tomorrow.
Smart move.
Right,
Linda.
can you still see me? Because I can see you now.
Oh, that's.
You'll be doing this tomorrow, I think.
Good. Oh, that's better. Yeah,
there we are.
Much better.
Right.
Well done, Beryl.
It wasn't, I couldn't have done it myself. I have to have a member of the family come and bail me out.
Me too.
Me too.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello. Lovely to see you.
Right. Well, I think probably we've got as many as we can. There may be one or two of the other people who've been trying who will get through, but I'll just admit them as we go along, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So welcome, everybody. I think everybody now is, one or two of you are still muted, but you'll obviously be able to unmute if you wish to do so. And a warm welcome really to Jonathan, who struggled as well to get through. There's nothing worse, is there really? So if you're happy, Jonathan, to do your introductory comments as the president, we'll take it from there.
Right. Well, it's lovely to see everybody on a lovely, lovely day. We've got a beautiful day here. I don't know what it's like with you. So it's always good when the Sunday celebration of George Eliot's birthday falls, as it should, on St. Cecilia's Day. What a suitable birthday for such a musical person. Also, rather later, the birthday of Benjamin Britten. The 201st birthday cannot, sadly, be celebrated in our usual way, but it is good to be able to have a virtual get-together and to welcome guests and members of the fellowship. John will be talking about what has happened in the fellowship in this unusual year, so I will just mention one remarkable instance of the wide knowledge and love of George Eliot's writing throughout the world. At the end of January, when the UK so unfortunately severed its ties with the EU, MEPs sang Auld Lang Syne, and the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said, "To our British friends, I want to use the words of the British poet, George Eliot." She said, "Only in the agony of parting do we look into the depth of love." I thought it was a wonderful thing that at that moment and in that place and that prestigious person could use the words of George Eliot. The Royal Society of Literature has been less lucky than us with its 200th anniversary, which falls this year. They will be including George Eliot in celebrations at the end of this month, with a video celebrating George Eliot's pen, which I inherited and which I have been lending to the Royal Society of Literature for use by new fellows signing the book, which has been in use since 1820. The video will include a reading of the opening of Middlemarch, probably by Juliet Stevenson, though there is a little doubt over that, she has said, and illustrations have been commissioned of George Eliot and the pen. I was only told about this a few days ago. So far, for the first time, I may have some George Eliot news not known to our chairman. Is that right, Mr. Chairman? Or do you know all about it?
No, I don't know anything about it, Jonathan.
Oh, well, there we are. So there's some news hot off the press. And I imagine that the video will be available, or must be a DL, what's it called?
YouTube or something.
YouTube, something like that. As we all do, I hope that next year we will at some point all meet again in person. I will now give the loyal toast. And it occurred to me that it might be a good idea if we did it naval fashion. That is to say, sitting rather than standing up. Because if we all stand up, we shall just have a lot of pictures of people's midriffs. So, the royal toast, the Queen.
The Queen.
Queen.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. So I don't want to spend a lot of time going through all the events of this year. Well, actually, it won't take long if I do, because of course we've had to cancel most of them. But we have achieved something. It's been a disastrous year, really, for so many groups. Well, for society in general, hasn't it? But So let's not be selfish about the way it's affected the fellowship. But I'm just constantly gratified and pleased that Robert Evans and his wife didn't leave it a bit longer before conceiving Mary Ann, because if the bicentenary had been this year, just think of all those wonderful things that we did last year, and we would just have had to cancel them, and that would have been desperately sad. It really would. So during the course of this year, we did manage to have the AGM, and that was helpful because it sorted a few things out that we needed to sort out. And then several of us, about 15 or 16 of us, socially distanced ourselves for the wreath laying in the George Eliot Memorial Gardens. That really went very well. We laid a wreath. We had Sheila Wolfe. I think Sheila's here. You are somewhere, aren't you, Sheila? Well, I think she is. Sheila gave a lovely little talk, imagining Middlemarch in the pandemic, in a pandemic situation, and we've reprinted that somewhere. And also at the same time, Michael Harris laid a wreath really in honor of our members, including his wife, who had died in recent months. And then Joy also laid a wreath using some of the material that she'd used from her garden for the wreath that we laid on George Eliot's grave last November. So although it was a small group of people there, all socially distanced, and at the time I said, I'm so used to asking you all, please huddle up, please come in closer because nobody can hear. Everybody kept a respectable and legal distance from each other. And it was a lovely, at least it was something that we were able to do to celebrate this year. And of course, it is the 90th anniversary of the fellowship. And so we'd intended to celebrate that in some special ways. Obviously, it wouldn't have been as grandiose as last year, but it means that a lot of those celebrations have had to go by the board. And then one of the interesting byproducts, I suppose, one or two of us were saying earlier, of the pandemic is that it's made us all learn how to use things like Zoom.
Oh no!
And we're all attempting to learn how to use them. Some more successfully than others. Some obviously something has gone wrong somewhere where people haven't been able to sort of log on today. But at least it meant that we could have the annual lecture, and that was, I think, the 49th annual lecture with Gail Marshall, and it was a splendid paper that she delivered for us. And then there's today. It would have been lovely to be at Western Hall and having the meal, but had we been there, the people who are taking part this afternoon from America, like Beverly or Thailand or wherever else in the world, wouldn't have been able to take part, and now they can. So we have to look for the silver lining around the cloud, I think. So the anniversary, we got as far as doing a special logo for it, and then lockdown came, and that was about it really. But it's interesting to look back. In 1930, this J.W. Cross founded the fellowship, and I am intending to do some more work on him. I have got some more research, and I'm going to put it on the website. He was a really cultured man. He was a poet. He published 2 volumes of poetry, both of which I've got. And he was the sort of man who you certainly wouldn't expect to be editing, a local newspaper, but he was very erudite. And for donkey's years, he had said that there ought to be some way of commemorating George Eliot in her hometown. And way back at the centenary in 1919, he had helped to organize the centenary events in Nuneaton. And his proposal was that any profits from all these events should be put towards a statue or some sort of memorial for George Eliot. Well, it turned out that the profits amounted to £19. which wasn't quite enough to buy a statue even in 1919. But it set the ball rolling, and he then in 1930, I suppose prompted by the fact that it was then the 50th anniversary of the death of George Eliot, founded the fellowship. It was well served by officers. Local authority officers often became involved in those early days. It's not something they do now, but it was a valuable link, I think, in those early days. It all went into sort of lockdown really during the war years, but then after the war, they re-established themselves. The first thing they did, interestingly enough, in 1930, having started the fellowship in early November, they then arranged a meal. So there's been a long tradition of having celebration meals. They used to call it a supper in those days, and they'd hold it at the Newdigate Arms Hotel in Nuneaton. After the war, again, they took up the reins, and it sort of staggered along a bit, I think. Barbara Hardy was invited to give a talk in about 1955. It must have been right at the start of her academic career. And then, as many of you will know, Bill Adams went along to a meeting. Will's here today, Kathleen and Bill's son. He went to a meeting. It turned out to be the AGM, I think, at the library in Nuneaton. And by the end of the evening, he was on the committee, as happens with these sorts of things. You turn up and you're roped in. And the following year, Kathleen joined him, and she took over as secretary. And that really began the transformation and the enlargement of the fellowship to be what we are today. And they worked just amazingly hard. You can't pay enough tribute to Kathleen and Bill, really. And their first major thing, I suppose, Kathleen took over as secretary in 1968, and she set to in organising the 150th anniversary celebrations. 50 years on, those of us on the Fellowship Council know what work that involves. But Kathleen set up a week of events for the 150th anniversary. And one of the people who was invited to take part in that was Gabriel Woolf. And Gabriel has been an amazing supporter of the fellowship from that day onwards. And even today, he and Rosalind are supporting us in so many ways. So that was a very happy coincidence, really, that Kathleen, I think, had heard Gabriel do some readings from Middlemarch. It would have been on home service probably in those days, and she contacted him, and the links were made, and it's been an amazing link and partnership ever since. And Kathleen and Bill then stepped down in 2006, in Bill's case, 2008 in Kathleen, so that she wanted to complete her 40 years of service to the fellowship. I think, what a record that is, absolutely staggering, really. And then I took over, and the team that we have had ever since then, I think, have done marvelous work, and I pay tribute to them, the Fellowship Council and other council members who have since stepped down or passed on, actually. And one of the first things we did, I think, as a new group helping to run the fellowship, was to try and organise something special for the 150th anniversary of Scenes of Clerical Life, the first of her works. And we worked to produce 7,500 copies of the paperback version, and we gave them all away. They turn up now and again on eBay, but it was lovely to be able to give those copies away, and I wish we'd still got them to give away, actually, because for people living in the Nuneaton area, to be able to reference Scenes of Clerical Life and The Mill on the Floss, and Silas Marner as well, I suppose, is really very helpful, because we can say to people who don't know much about George Eliot, well, just over there, or that's the attic at Griff. Now go and read The Mill on the Floss and the bit about the attic. Or Chilverscote, or Nuneaton itself, or Arbury in Scenes of Clerical Life. So that's what's happened, really, and that's where we are at the moment. It's been a wonderful part of my life, certainly. And I think working towards the bicentenary last year was a huge challenge. And again, I pay tribute to the Fellowship Council, who did marvels. It was a wonderful year. I am still working on a document which tries to include everything that we did and that others did during the course of last year. And it's taking me much longer than it should, considering we've been in lockdown. But it's about halfway through. And when it's done, if we can get it in a compressed enough form, I'll send it out to everybody. But it will be available on the website in the next month or so anyway, certainly before the end of this year. So that's the fellowship. Of course, George Eliot would continue to be loved. To suggest that the fellowship is crucial to the reputation of George Eliot would be overestimating our importance. George Eliot has been studied and loved in universities and by general readers and academic readers, all sorts of readers, for all those years. But Rosemary Ashton very kindly and I think generously pointed out when she wrote something about the deaths of Kathleen and Bill, which of course happened within about 8 weeks, that between them, they had helped to establish the George Eliot reputation in the UK over the previous 40 years. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to say. And I hope that we can continue to have that sort of influence and way of allowing people to feel enthusiasm for George Eliot. And the new website, I think, is one of the ways that we're doing that. So I've mentioned what we've done in terms of meetings this year, but just to mention sort of finally, the website will in a way be our, I hope, legacy of the pandemic year. It is much more comprehensive than the earlier one. It's much easier to navigate, I think, and it can expand in all sorts of ways. And we're working closely with Beverly on adding things or making links to her wonderful, wonderful sites, which I'm sure you all know about. If you don't, it will be on our website or it will be on a newsletter or both. But Beverly is doing wonderful things, and it's great to work with you, Beverly, over this. It's fabulous to have those links with academics in the United States. We've also got online banking, so we've now come into the 21st century in terms of that, and that makes it a lot easier for Linda to do her work. The other thing I haven't mentioned, and do so with some hesitancy, is the visitor centre. Because about a year ago, I said, we've got the money, we're going to go ahead. And as many of you know, Whitbreads then went into the sort of lack of communication, really. We kept writing to them and saying, we've got the money, can we start? Can you give us a lease? And they didn't answer any emails for 7 months, which is an extraordinary thing to do. And by then, of course, we were in the middle of the pandemic and the hotel was closed and the restaurant was closed, and Whitbreads have got severe headaches, like £750 million loss this year so far. I haven't given up. Whitbreads have asked if they can delay for a few months their contribution of 80,000. And I'm just thinking, well, yeah, we perhaps need to find the 80,000 from somewhere else. But we're working on that. I have to be a bit careful because John Miller, of course, gave us £70,000. And I've been in touch with him today and yesterday because he wondered whether it's been spent yet. And obviously he doesn't want to see his money lying around and not being used. But anyway, hopefully that will resolve itself. And I hope that you all felt that the bicentenary year went well. I think it reflected well on the fellowship. It certainly involved a huge amount of work and a lot of original things as well. And you're going to hear from Leslie shortly, who did the wonderful Meet the Woman sort of presentation of the life of George Eliot. There was an amazing weekend, the AGM of the Alliance of Literary Societies, which was really very successful. that Elaine sorted out for us and arranged. Viv Wood did her adaptation of Mr. Gilfield's love story, and it was really rather special to see that performed in the grounds of Arbury Hall, where the short story is set. That really was very special. And also to know that the descendants of Sir Roger or the Cheverel in the story was sitting there in the audience watching. That was very special. And it was Viv Wood who did that, and Viv who also did the adaptation of Silas Marner, which copies of which have gone to every primary school child in Bedworth. So I think we did good things, and I would ask you to join me really in a toast to the George Eliot Fellowship at 90. The George Eliot Fellowship, ladies and gentlemen.
George Eliot Fellowship
at 90.
I might just show you before we move on, Linda has managed to produce a birthday cake. I don't know whether you can see it. It's a fairly tiny birthday cake, but since there'll only be 2 of us eating it, that's okay. If it was possible for us all to be together, we would have had a much larger cake and you could all have had a bit. But there we are. That's the George Eliot Fellowship birthday cake. And just the other thing to mention to you before we move on, you will have seen in the newsletter the CD. Gabriel Wolfe and Rosalind Shanks, because they couldn't come to do their, it would have been 51st readings. It's just an extraordinary record, isn't it, that? 50 years, should have been the 51st. They hired a studio in Sussex, and they both went in and recorded their own favourite bits of George Eliot, and they then sent the master CD to me and said, you can have this and you can use it, get CDs made and sell them to raise funds for the visitor centre, specifically for the visitor centre. So that's what it will look like. The Gerard picture of George Eliot on the front. So they'll be available. You've seen the details in the newsletters, so that's moving us on. So next really on the list ought to be June Tandy. Now, June is the mayor of Nuneaton and Bedworth. She was the mayor last year as well, but because of the pandemic, she's mayor for 2 years. It really won't make much difference because she hasn't been able to do anything really since February or March. I had a phone call from, not a phone call, I had an email from her son this morning apologising. June isn't well and is confined to her bed. And it was too late at that point to ask anybody else to do something. So I'm afraid you're going to get another toast from me, but there we are. What I just wanted to mention really was just to give thanks to the 2 mayors who have served us during the course of the last 2 years. During the bicentenary year, at the start of the year, it was Chris Watkins, who was so enthusiastic. It was his idea that he should have some pictures of George Eliot related pictures in the mayor's parlour so that anybody visiting could see them. And he asked us to do them. And again, you'll have seen pictures in earlier newsletters, but there are about 12 pictures of George Eliot related things, including some recent ones like students from King Edward's College who did their production. So we want people to know that George Eliot still lives. You know, it's not just a dull 19th century writer of novels. She, in Nuneaton, where the fellowship is concerned, she's still alive and we're talking loudly about her. So great credit to Chris Watkins for doing that, because they will remain in the mayor's parlour for years to come, I think, and hopefully other mayors will talk about them. Also thanks to Chris during his mayor's year, because he involved us in his civic service, which was at Stockingford Parish Church, which of course is Paddiford Church with the Reverend Tryon and all those sorts of things. And we did some readings from Janet's Repentance in the civic service, and that was very generous. You know, he didn't have to do that, but he chose to. So we were very grateful. And then in June or May of last year, June Tandy took over, and June was very supportive throughout the year. She attended things, she laid a wreath at the wreath laying, she came to several of the meetings, and she joined the coach to Westminster Abbey on the birthday itself, and she was there at the graveside when we were at Highgate Cemetery in the morning, and then she came to the Westminster Abbey with us and actually laid a wreath on behalf of the Nuneaton and Bedworth people alongside the wreath that Gabriel laid on behalf of the fellowship. So thanks to both of them, it was lovely that they felt happy to take part and to be part of what for us obviously was an important year. So the toast then is to Milby. This is what June would normally be asking us to toast. So I ask you to give a toast, to drink a toast to Milby.
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 Right. Well, now, Leslie was such a high point of last year, and she will propose the toast to the immortal memory. And so, if you're happy to take over, Leslie, that would be wonderful. And I'm sure you want to say a few words about the work that you did to develop your wonderful one-woman show about the life of George Eliot. Okay.
Oh, unmute.
Yeah, you're on mute at the moment, Leslie.
Can you hear me now?
Ah, yes, we can. Sorry.
I'm afraid it just froze. I have a 24-year-old son. They're very helpful. So
yeah. Yes, sorry, Leslie. We didn't catch you at the start. So
I know.
Okay.
So I'll get Henry to stay. I would just like to say what a joy it was to be involved with the fellowship. I wasn't expecting to find such affection and sweetness amongst you as a group, as well as your passion for her. And Mary Somerville approached me originally and was much amused to know that I'd turned down being Jane Austen for the Jane Austen Society and thought it was marvellous that I was there for. I'm a historian, as some of you will know, not an actress, but I get very under the skin of individuals that I play and give monologues for as my form of teaching. And I'd like to say that when I took on George Eliot, I simply didn't know enough about her. And I don't talk about her work in as a critique sense, but indeed just to find out about her childhood, her growing up, what made her the woman that she is. And I must say that George Eliot kept me awake more than Elizabeth I. I was up, out of my bed, walking about at 2 in the morning. I remember after 2 weeks of really poor nights of sleep, saying, George Eliot, what have I done agreeing to be you? Help me. And she said, you must try harder. So after the costume was made, taken from the photograph, the one photograph of her, and there it was, silk and blue stripes. And I had read letters and I'd pored over work, and the last Victorian was a tremendously helpful piece of work. And then at the end, I'm there and I'm going to be on my own on that stage. And the sense of responsibility was absolutely overwhelming, not just because of how powerful this woman was, or indeed the great legacy of her literature, but because of you, because many of you have given huge amounts of your life for the sake of this woman, that she should be known and remain known. So I went on the stage that night, and somehow she must have helped me. It poured out of me. And I've gone and done, as you will know, performed in other areas very happily with large audiences. And then last week, I should have appeared on the birthday eve in Lichfield Cathedral. And when the Dean had first heard I was appearing, who's a tremendous intellectual, you know, he caught hold of my arm and said, oh, George Eliot, he said, Middlemarch is the greatest novel that was ever written. And he quoted me chunks of it. And then one of the canons, who's equally as bright, caught hold of my arm and said, "You do realise that woman's sense of ethics are greater than almost any priest you'll ever meet." And so there was this fantastic sense of people. And when I was researching, I researched primary sources as well, and also looked at PhDs and MPhils that had studied other elements of her work, such as medicine and illnesses reported in her work, such as influences on women in society and gender and education. And there's just a myriad of them. I mean, it's extraordinary the impact that she's had on the academic world as well as the world as a whole. So it's been a privilege to play her. I'm not scripted, by the way. I write down what I want to say and make sure it's in chronological order, and then sort of soak it up, if you like. And then if in doubt, I go and talk to people like you who know her so well. But I found the most difficult part were the passion, the pain, the tremendous sometimes plunges of self-confidence when she would say to George Henry Lewis, "Go on, tell me it's awful, isn't it?" And he said, "No, it's marvellous." But also the impact she had on people's lives, her ability to be able to apparently look into one's soul. And instead of feeling lonely in the world, you realise other people feel these way too about many things that she writes about. Her perception of psychology and relationships was the thing I found really extraordinary. And her keeping me awake at night, well, it was time well spent. I hope I shall be playing her for many years to come. And in Lichfield Cathedral, I can tell from what the Dean said, if you wanted, even though it's not in the same county, it's up the road, a memorial service there, I'm sure that that would be talked about. And of course, the cathedra, this wonderful chair that the bishop sits in, that I was told originally in Lichfield Cathedral was in fact made by one of her Evans' uncles from Elliston, only to discover that the timing was out and it was bound to be a cousin, in fact. So there's all around me, there's little dots of her, because I live literally next to the cathedral. And so the time has come for me to say, rather like earlier when Jonathan spoke, the agony of parting, having spent so much time now embroiled in this extraordinary woman who transformed many people's ways of thinking, whose ethics made us think again about the way we behaved, who threw down the traces to do with religion and many other aspects, such as politics. It would be an agony to be parted from her now. And I do want to say that I expect the rest of my life to carry on, whether I'm performing as George Eliot or not, to be caught up with this amazing woman, because there are so many layers to be found of her life and her writing. And now my duty, I've been honoured to ask if I can give this particular toast. So I'd like you to raise your glasses, ladies and gentlemen, again, please, or your cups of tea, or your glasses of water, all over the world who are listening to this as well, and say to you, with gratitude in your hearts for the life and the literature of George Eliot, in fondest memory and eternal memory, George Eliot.
George Eliot.
Thank you. Thank you. That's most kind. Thank you. You must be a priest, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Very moving, and I know from conversations we've had how impressed and moved you were by George Eliot, and she does affect us in those ways, doesn't she? It's staggering. I don't know whether any of you wish to add any comments or say anything. I know Shoshana Knapp is with us from the States, and she had mentioned to me earlier, and she might like to mention now, her memories of another 22nd of November, which was the day President Kennedy was assassinated. Do you want to say something, Shoshana?
Sure. Fine. Yeah. Yes. Well, when I wrote to you to get the link for this event, I mentioned that when in high school, I discovered George Eliot. I was very glad to learn that her birthday was November 22nd and that this was a happy day, because for me, as for many people of a certain age, November 22nd, 1963 will always be the day that the president was shot. And we all remember where we were when we heard it. I was in science class. I even remember what we did that day in science class: integumentary, skeletal locomotives, etc. So I was very glad that I now had something positive for November 22nd. And what you were saying earlier about Gabriel and Rosalind and the readings, that reminded me of something else too, that I used to have the cassettes, and I used to play the cassettes in my car when I was driving my children places, and they wanted to, who are these people? And I said, well, this is a man and a woman, and they're going to read to you and explain to you how to be good. And they said, what is it? Is it you and Daddy? And I said, no, it's not me and Daddy. It's the voice of George Eliot. And they still remember that. So for them, they learned about November 22nd earlier in life than I did. So I'm glad you're all here. And thank you, John, for bringing us together in Zoom so that we could live on the roar on the other side of silence.
Indeed.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to make a comment?
Edward.
Yeah, thanks very much, Leslie, for those words. I've got here a plate that was done in 1989, which I think was commissioned, is commemorative for the reopening of Lydgate Ward at the George Eliot Hospital. And she's getting very excited here today. I don't know if the work of the fellowship through the hospital, with the explanations of the wards that are named after George Eliot characters. And when they opened the private patients, it was called Silas Marner.
Yeah.
So I gently inquired to the commissioning team whether they had actually got a copy of it in the waiting room, because it might be appropriate. And it was around the time that Silas Marner was being handed out, like you do. It was an incredible response. And because it's one of the shorter ones, and you're talking about ethics and all the rest of it, Leslie, it's one of the most ethical stories that there is, really, in terms of the meaning of life and don't gather for yourself treasures on earth and all that. And the tapestry of George Eliot from the Weaver's Loom goes on. Yes. But the fact that one of the few hospitals in the country is named after a person, there's not many left at all, that we've held on to George Eliot, and that the hospice is called the Mary Ann Evans Hospice, is wonderful. And long may it continue to be embedded in all these linkages through the community, both local and international and worldwide. Thank you very much, Leslie, indeed.
Thank you. And I'd also like to say, if I may, that based on what you've just said, the fellowship isn't just about raising awareness and all of that. It's actually living the life for her. The hospital couldn't be more suitable for her, in the same way as making people think about education in a different way. And I intend to go into the local school as George Eliot. I'll do perhaps a slightly abridged version, depending on their age. But I will make sure that when I go in, that the awareness is very much in the area anyway. But it's like dropping a stone in the pool, isn't it? Come on, there's so much more to be done. And it would be a shame if people didn't have the chance to find out the glory of her writing. And that's really what I'm saying. And many of us listening this afternoon's grandparents were Victorians. My grandfather was born in 1870. I do mean my grandfather, not my great-grandfather. He came on late in life to marriage and children. And so this continuity that's still in our flesh and blood, to let go of her hand, no, nobody wants to do that, will they? Nobody. So thank you.
Thank you, Leslie, and thank you, Edward.
Thank you very much.
And anybody else want to add any comments? Most people are on mute.
Oh, I'm not on mute.
Right. Well, thank you, all of you. It's been a lovely thing to do. It would have been nicer to have had a good meal and a glass of wine all together, but it wasn't to be. And at least we've acknowledged her birthday in a respectful way. I often use there are so many quotes, aren't there, in Middlemarch? But I've been thinking the last day or two, particularly in view of, you can almost see it happening. I don't wish to be political, but you can almost see the return to what was regarded as normality of announcements that the public health people or that the public sector will be having no pay rises next year, you know? And I think of all the Thursday days, the evenings when we went in the first lockdown and clapped the health service and the workers and all those people who work for not a great deal of money, and kept us going, really. And I've got a nasty feeling they're going to be shafted, you know? But there we are. But it reminded me of the end of Middlemarch, because George Eliot is talking about people like that, I think, when she says, as we all know the quotation, the growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you and me as they might have been is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs. And it's a sobering thought that it's as relevant today as it was in the 1870s, 1871, when it was published. So that's not to pour cold water on it, it's just to show that George Eliot remains relevant to us now as ever. So thank you all very much for participating. And we must do it again sometime. We have the license now to have Zoom meetings whenever we like. And we're paying the extra so that we can go on for more than 90 minutes, not that we are doing today, but it does mean that this has been recorded, and I think it will be possible to transfer it to a YouTube channel. Apparently we have one. So Alison, our web designer, informed me that no, you do have a YouTube channel. So we might be able to put some of this up on there. So thank you all very much indeed. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Yes, nice to see you all. Bye.
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 Thank you, John.
Bye, Shona. Bye-bye, Shona.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. I'm so glad you had Zoom today.
Yes.
You saved me $3,000.
Maybe you'd like to donate it to the visitor centre.
Spoken like the treasurer.
Oh, yes. You walked into that one, Beverly.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Linda.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you. God bless. Thank you.
Thanks, Edward.
Everybody. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jonathan.
John, thank you.
Yo, thank you, David. Thanks for taking part. Thank you, Jonathan. Sorry about the problems.
First time I've worn a tie since.
Yes.
Especially for George Eliot.
Well, that's very good of you. I asked Linda whether I ought to wear a tie, and she said no.
John?
Yes. Hello.
Hi. Thank you for that, and thank you for inviting me. That was lovely.
You're welcome. I'm glad you could take part.
So am I. Yeah.
What time of the day is it with you?
Oh, it was midnight. It's midnight, so it's no longer Elliot's birthday here.
No. Well, thanks for joining us. It's lovely to have seen you.
Okay, I'll follow up with some questions in your email to me, in my response to your email, I mean. But thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It was lovely to meet you.
Okay, there will be more when I've got time to sort things out.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. No, it has. It's not recording. Oh, that's annoying about the people not being able to join us in meeting for